Welcome to the Laugh Life Podcast, a lifestyle podcast based on living alcohol-free in a booze-soaked world. My name is Kelly Evans, and together with my friends, Tracy Georgievic and Lindsay Herrick, we share uncensored, unscripted, real conversations about what our lives have been like since we ditched alcohol and how we got here. By sharing our individual stories, we'll show you that there isn't just one way to do this. No matter where you are on your journey, from sober curious to years in recovery and everyone in between, you are welcome here. No judgment and a ton of support.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Laugh Life Podcast. It is season 3. I can't believe it. I'm here today with my beautiful co-hosts, Kelly Evans and Lindsay Herrick. We do not have Mr. Mike Sutton joining us. Something new to this season. It will just be us 3 ladies. Unfortunately, Mike has had too much other personal commitments to commit to joining us weekly on the podcast. He's been an amazing contributor in the past, and of course, our special male and with his male input. So we will miss him, but he is going to pop by and visit us for a couple episodes. So we'll look forward to that. And we might also actually have some other male guest hosts. So that's exciting
guest hosts,
as well.
Yes, season 3. Hi, guys.
Hi, ladies.
Hey, hello.
So nice to see you.
I feel like it's been forever.
I know. How
So
long was
this
that
is-
break? Yeah,
a
a lot
long
has
time.
happened. Yes.
But it's good.
Yeah.
I feel like
We
need a
need
break
the break,
sometimes.
but it does seem like a long time. So how was your girls' summers anyways?
Amazing. Really good.
So good. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Really good. But went so fast. How is it? How is it the end of September? I don't get this.
Yeah,
Like,
this is airing October 4th we're going to air this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
September 27th today. It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But I feel like our summer started in May because the weather was so great. May
Mhm.
to the end of September was beautiful.
Mhm.
It's fall. I can't believe it. It did
It's
go
fall,
really
y'all.
fast. But don't we always feel that way? Summer's way
Yeah.
too short.
I don't know. This has been
Yes.
the quickest year of my life so far. I feel like I'm going to say that every year from now on, though, and I don't know why. It's gone fast.
Yeah, that's what they say. I was saying to my youngest, that's 17, the other day. He said something about time going by fast. And I said, yeah, a lot of people say the older you get, the quicker time goes by. And he thought that was really interesting. But yeah.
I think it's worse when you have children, Lynn, so you don't have that working
I do
against
not
you
have that.
anyways.
No. And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm super clear headed, right? It's not like we're drinking and blacking out and not remembering stuff. I'm so present. I'm clear headed. And I'm like, how is time moving so fast?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my daughter turned 14 the other day. It's like, seriously, did I blink and she's like a full human? What is going on? Like a full-size human.
He's
No,
a mini
she's
you,
not.
that's for sure, Trace. She looks
Yeah,
so much
she
like
is.
you.
Yeah, she's not my baby girl anymore. But I told her she'll always be my baby girl. It doesn't matter how old she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Do you talk
crazy.
to your daughter about drinking?
I was going to ask that
Trace?
if there was
I
any
was
drinking
like, yeah,
situations
I
this
do.
summer with Maddie. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
popped into my head.
No, you know what? I do have very open conversations with her about everything because I really want her to feel comfortable to talk to me. So
Mhm.
I did, especially with her going into high school. It was a big concern of mine. I just have a lot of anxiety about it in general. I think I'm more worried about it than she is, but I am really worried about the social aspects and the influences and stuff like that. I think I'm pretty lucky and fortunate. She's a pretty strong-willed kid. And so far, she's never had a problem saying no or being able to voice her opinion of not wanting to be involved in something. So hopefully she carries that on. But I had some conversations with her definitely about the fact that you're probably going to have friends that are going to be trying these things, and you're going to be in situations where you're going to try, or your friends will be trying, and just know that you can say no. If you don't want to and you're not comfortable, never feel forced into it. Also, if you do say yes and try it, don't ever out of fear not talk to me about it or not have me come get you if you're in a situation where you're not comfortable or you're feeling out of control because you've
Right.
had something to drink. I just want her to feel really comfortable that although I might be disappointed, I'm never going to be so upset or mad about it that I don't want to help you. My number one priority is to make sure you're safe. But you have to be realistic. I hope she makes good decisions and decides it's not her thing and she doesn't want to do it. But at the same time,
Mhm.
if she does make poor choices here and there, which is bound to happen, then I want her to feel comfortable that she has a place to land.
Yeah. Really good.
I never
Yeah.
had those conversations
Me
with my
neither.
parents
No,
growing
they were
up.
just like, don't do it.
Yeah. I don't even think we had, maybe I'm trying to think. Maybe we did have that don't drink too much kind of thing, but it was never something where it was an open conversation about drinking alcohol, over consuming it, what can happen.
Never.
Or if you're in a situation where you have too much to drink, I don't care what time it is, call us. I never had that.
I did
Yeah.
have that with my parents,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I remember your mom being like that, Trace.
Yeah, my parents were open though anyways. When we were 15, 16, they allowed us to have alcohol as long as we were
Mhm.
with them. When we had parties, they were always present when we had friends over. So if people were drinking, they would be present and make sure that nothing out of control was happening. They were open in that sense. But they
Yeah.
never had kind of preemptive conversations with me about,
Mhm.
okay, you're going into this stage of your life and this might be what happened. And nor did they ever have a conversation with me about what potentially would happen to me if I got drunk, right? Like what effects it might have on
Right.
me or anything like that.
Yeah.
So those are the type of things I do try to warn my daughter about. I've also talked to her about the fact that she could put herself in a very vulnerable position with boys,
Yeah.
that you have to be conscious of that too. I told her, never go to a party and allow yourself to be locked in a room or put in a room by yourself with a boy, even if you like him, because you don't know. You need to be cautious and make sure you really know that person and trust them. Don't just because you might think they're cute or whatever, put yourself in those vulnerable positions. You have to be very careful.
Yeah. That's
So,
great, Trace. I
yeah.
wish somebody had said that to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of that happens too. And it is, those are the things that make me nervous.
I was talking to Carter. So he's 19, but he was a guest on our podcast. He's chosen to live alcohol free. But we were just talking this evening about drinking and how he's chosen not to drink. And he had a few bad experiences. He did have one blackout night and a night that he felt really sick, and the next morning being super hungover and all that. So he's decided that he doesn't want to have alcohol as part of his life. And then he's just watching the people his age going out and partying, and not a lot of them, but some of them, and going out and getting drunk. And he was like, I don't understand. I just don't get it. And then I thought about the podcast, and I remember season 1 at the very beginning, I told it in my story that I guess I would describe it as shy. And it helped me be not so shy. And that's why I liked drinking. And then Tracy said something about you. I think it was you that said out of my shell. And then it was a theme with our guests and stuff like that too. So I think the focus with these kids, because I said to Carter, I said, you are the most confident kid I've ever met. He's so self-aware and so confident that I don't think he has ever had that need to feel any different than his true self. I love that about him, but most people, including myself, didn't have that. So maybe it's, let's look at these kids' self-esteem. Let's work on the self-esteem instead of, my message was like, don't do it. It's bad. Just don't do it. But how about self-esteem? Being able to come out of your shell. Yeah. It was a really good conversation.
I feel like that's probably why I used alcohol, part of it anyways, to come out of your shell or not feel so anxious or shy. And it's funny because now being in my 40s and being alcohol free, I feel more confident than ever. I don't need the alcohol. I don't know. I just have this sense of peace and confidence about myself that I didn't have when I was in my late teens and early 20s. But yeah, I think you're right, Kelly. You're onto something there, focusing on how to develop that in young adults and teenagers so that substances don't need to be used to be social, or it's changing that narrative. We don't need these things to be social
to fit
and
in, or
fit in and
yeah.
connect and just yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely say I'm very happy that I'm not drinking myself at this stage in her
Yeah.
life,
Oh yeah.
because at least I have that clear-mindedness, and also I'm not exposing her to it. Kids aren't coming here and getting booze because there's
Right.
no booze in this house.
Right.
So if they're getting it somewhere, it's never going to be here, which makes me feel good. But also, I did explain to her when I was in high school, as you guys know, I've mentioned on the podcast, I wasn't a big drinker. And when I was in high school, I was comfortable to say no and not indulge in that stuff. So that was one thing that I shared with her, that she knows too, that when I was in high school and her age, I didn't do a lot of drinking. She knows that my drinking progressed when I got older.
Right.
So I told her I was always comfortable to say no and stand my ground and do my own thing and not follow what everybody else was doing. And I didn't lose any friends over it. I still could partake in what my friends were doing without doing that. So know that you can always be comfortable to do that. And if you lose friends over it, then they aren't good friends anyways.
Yeah, I love that.
So you ladies had some exciting stuff happen over the summer, though. We've
Oh,
talked on the podcast about dating a few times.
yes.
And now we can talk about it whenever we want because Mike's not here. You know, it was a very sensitive spot with him every time we brought it up.
He
But-
secretly loved it. He
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah,
We were entertaining him with our
exactly,
dating stories.
exactly.
Yes.
Anyways, yeah, I think he'd like to just poke fun at you ladies
Yeah.
more than anything. But you're both currently dating steadily people. So you met some great gentlemen over the summer, and that's turned into some steady dating. So I thought it would be
Yes.
interesting to chat about that, and maybe you guys give some advice to some newly sober people out there trying to date, because obviously you guys have been through it for a couple of years because you've both been sober for a couple of years and dating. One thing I was really curious about, and both of you can maybe answer this question separately, that I think would be helpful to people is, when do you talk about your relationship with alcohol? Do you talk about it when you're texting or chatting with the person before you meet them in person? Is it something you wait till you're in person, or do you wait to so many dates before you get in? Or are you just right up front about it?
I don't have any rules. I've never had any real strict rules with dating. But yes, I dated off and on for 4 years until I met my person the end of the winter, I guess it was. But I put right on my profile, I did meet him online. I put right on my profile that drinking is not an option, or whatever it is. What does it say, Lindsay? Alcohol free or something, or
Oh, I'm trying to remember.
something like
remember
that.
now.
You can put it on
But
there.
you can indicate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can indicate, but a lot of people don't read the write-ups.
So many
a lot of
people.
people don't notice. So I think it depends. Like, it depends on where the conversation's going. If somebody says, do you want to meet for a drink? Then I'll say, I don't drink alcohol. But yeah, sometimes it comes up before we meet, sometimes after. I usually try and find out what their relationship is like with alcohol. I would say for the most part, all the people that I've met, I think they pretty much knew before we met.
Same with you,
I'd
Lynn?
say, yeah, that's the same with me. I was so honest and upfront about it. Yeah, just on all those apps, there's spots where you can indicate like smoking, alcohol consumption, and I put never. I think
Never, that's it.
never.
Yeah, never.
Yeah, for both of those. And it's amazing to me how many people don't read that stuff. So when you start talking to somebody, that's the knee-jerk thing that people want to do is, let's get
Mhm.
together for some drinks, or do you want to meet for a drink? And I just say, oh, I don't drink, it's in my profile. And sometimes you get the, oh, why not, or something like that. Or somebody's just, okay, cool, no worries, coffee then.
Yeah.
I love those coffee kind of dates. It's so funny dating sober without being under the influence of alcohol to try to take away the nerves and stuff. I feel like I enjoyed feeling everything because it helped me get a better sense of, is my nervous system calm around this person, or is it triggered? I was really able to pay attention to how I felt around somebody without a substance influencing how I felt. So it was I don't know, a better way to make a connection with somebody. And when I met my person, because I am currently dating somebody named Richard, we met for coffee at a local coffee shop that's really close to both of us. And it's funny because the minute that I saw him, it was just like, oh, okay. I was nervous, of course, but I felt calm. I was still nervous about, okay, like
Green
the
flag,
conversation
green
and stuff,
flag.
but that's the thing,
Mhm.
right? I feel drinking really, it lets you ignore those red flags
Mhm.
or downplay them and minimize them. It's not that
Mm.
bad. Or, oh, okay, there's this thing, whatever. I really enjoyed dating without alcohol because I felt like I was able to connect and find a person that I was meant to be with. So yeah, I indicated it right in my profile. It was a conversation that would come up and I didn't feel awkward about it because I would rather be honest and upfront with people because I don't want to waste anybody's time. Actually, I think at one point, one of my profiles said, if you're looking for a drinking buddy, it's not me. Like,
Mhm.
but also I say, if you drink, I really don't have an issue with that as long as it's not abusively. I definitely didn't want to be with a partner that had substance abuse issues or whether it was drugs, alcohol, smoking. Does Richard drink alcohol? Yes, he does. Does he drink on occasion? Sometimes, yes. He's not somebody that drinks all the time, every weekend. And he's so mindful of me not drinking and always has really cool non-alcoholic beverages and different kinds of waters and stuff. If we go to the beach or something and he packs a cooler, he's got all kinds of stuff in the cooler. It's fabulous.
That's amazing. You touched on a lot of good things there, Lynn. That's a really good point. One, I was thinking it must weed some people out when you're
Yep,
upfront about it, which
absolutely.
is
Yeah.
great,
Mhm.
right? You know, those people aren't your people anyways.
Yeah.
So that's good. But at the same time, I really like what you were saying. And I could relate to the fact that you would be really honed in on how people's energy were making you feel not having
Yeah.
alcohol, right? Unlike you ladies, I've never dated sober. I was dating prior to meeting my now not drinking partner while I was still drinking. So all my dating experiences were drinking. I didn't have
Yeah.
any sober dating experiences. So I can't really speak to that experience, but I can speak to the side of the drinking side where definitely I was ignoring red flags and I was aligning with people that were not aligning with where I wanted to be. It created a lot of acceptance of toxic people.
Oh,
Right.
that's such a good way to put it. Yeah, that's
Mm.
exactly what it does.
Yeah.
Creates acceptance of toxic people. Like, man, yeah. Wow.
I feel like I was attracting what I felt I deserved at that time in my life
Right.
Yeah.
because I was in my own shame cycle. So I was attracting what I thought I deserved, which was subpar by far to what I did. But that's how I was feeling about myself at the time and
Right.
partially why I was drinking, right?
And that
Yeah.
comes back to the
Um,
confidence piece that we were talking
Mhm.
about earlier, right? Like
Yes.
teaching teenagers and youth things to do to boost your confidence or how to work on your self-esteem. When you have that confidence and self-esteem, then you know your worth. You realize your value and you look for a partner that complements that. You invite people up, right? And if somebody
Right.
doesn't want to join you, then you don't have an issue with walking away from. I had this conversation with a friend the other day that there are just certain types of people that really don't give a shit what others think. They're just so solid in what they want and their morals and whether someone aligns with them or not, that they're not afraid to say, whoa, like, I don't like this and this doesn't align with me. So I've got to move on.
Mhm.
Whereas I felt like in the past, I was somebody that would bend my standards or boundaries to allow that person inside my circle, maybe because I didn't want to be alone or something like that. But I think if I had better self-esteem and confidence, I wouldn't have done those things. And so I was using the alcohol to create that false sense of confidence and self-esteem. And when it wore off, I was like, oh my God, look what I'm left with.
Wow, that's really good, Linz.
Thanks.
I was just going to say, I've been part of your journey. We've been part of each other's
Yes.
dating journeys and stuff like that. And just how much you've learned about yourself. And yeah, your
Aw.
self-esteem grew so much. When did we meet? 4 years ago? 5 years ago?
Probably
4 years.
5 years ago.
5 years.
Because
It was October. Yeah.
that's right. It was
It's
October.
almost our anniversary.
It's almost our anniversary, Kelly.
But so you were dating at that time. Well, you were newly divorced at that
I
time.
was, yeah.
But where you were at in your life and on your journey of healing and all of that, if you had met Richard at that time,
I would not have been ready.
Exactly.
Oh man, we were talking about that together the other day. We often talk about this, the stuff that we each individually went through. I said to him, because I don't have kids, I was like, man, I wish we would have met earlier. And he was like, babe,
no,
I guarantee you, if we met earlier, we wouldn't have
No.
liked each other, or we wouldn't.
Yeah.
I was a different person, you were a different person, and it just wouldn't have worked.
that's right.
It's funny how when you go through hardships and stuff, you grow, you learn, and you transform into this person. You can either stay stuck or you can use that situation, navigate it, and get through it. And you learn so much along the way. And then when you come out the other side, I felt like after my 3-year divorce and then during that time quitting alcohol and breaking my collarbone and a bunch of bad dates and then trying to better myself, coming out the other side of that, I was like, I don't even know that version of Lindsay 4 years ago.
Right.
I don't know who
Yeah.
that girl is. Physically, I look different. Mentally and emotionally, I feel different. A big part of that was ditching alcohol. Even a lot of people with fitness are like, how did you? Wow. And it's not an overnight process. The first step for me was honestly, I had to get rid of alcohol because I could not be my best self or the version that I wanted to be with it in my life. And with that said, yeah, if I had met Richard previously, I feel like I would have messed it up or we wouldn't have liked each other or something like that. But yeah.
You know how you just said about you don't recognize the old version of yourself.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that might be one of the things that keeps people stuck and keeps people drinking, is that they know that there is somehow going to be a new identity, a new person is going to come out of all of this, and the unknown of that could be too scary?
Ooh, Kelly, that's a really good question. I'm trying to think back, even just looking at old pictures of myself and stuff, I just see so much sadness on my face, in my eyes. And I longed to be a healthier, better version of myself, but I didn't know how to get there
Wow.
while drinking.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to give up the wine. I
Yeah.
didn't want to stop. So I thought, okay, I tried to do it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to eat relatively healthy. I'm going to work out, but I don't know. You can't, I don't know.
You can't be the
You
best
can't.
version of yourself with
No.
alcohol.
I
But it
would-
is
like that.
scary. It's very scary to change and then be afraid of how your life, because I had a life and I didn't want to give it up. I was
No,
kind
I
of
for sure
holding on
didn't
to
know. I did not know who I was without alcohol.
That's
is
the thing.
100% for sure. Yeah.
What do you think, Trace?
I was going to say, I think what's interesting is that I think when I met Randy, that he must have seen a glimpse of that person that I wanted to become.
Yeah.
I have to say that I believe our relationship and the things we went through in our relationship, because it wasn't always perfect like any relationship, but I think about where we started and where we are now. And I think that the things that propelled us forward in the best direction definitely were a result of me not drinking. Because
I love
even as my drinking self, I was accepting things from him that
Right.
I shouldn't have been.
Mhm.
And it gave me the confidence when I stopped drinking to say, no, these things need to change. And I think it also made him see the potential of how it looked for me to be improving and motivated him to want to improve too. So jointly together as a couple, we've been able to do that together and improve our relationship tenfold.
Mm-hmm. That's
So-
I
awesome.
love hearing that.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think people don't know who they're going to be not drinking. So there's a big fear around that. But I think it's like tackling any other huge thing in your life, say a weight loss journey. It's so hard to start. It's the hardest part is the
Yeah.
starting. And people that are going on those type of journeys struggle with the same thing. They have the same type of shame cycles that they put themselves through. They have
Right.
those, oh, I ate really healthy today. And then the next day their diet's a disaster, right? It's
Mhm.
like how we try to moderate the alcohol. Yeah, it's all in the starting. The starting is where people are really challenged. One thing I'm curious about with you guys with the dating as well, this might be different for you, Kel, because we didn't really talk about it, but your gentleman doesn't drink.
He doesn't. No.
Do you think people are ever concerned about what are their friends going to think? What are their family going to think? Are they looking for an explanation of why you don't drink?
What do you
There's a
mean? Like
fear-
their friends about their new, like Richard's friends about Lindsay? Like why doesn't?
Yeah, especially if you're with someone that does drink and their friends are social and they drink. Is there a fear there of what are they going to think? What kind of questions are they going to ask? Do you think that deters people or scares people from wanting to bring you into their friend circle? Or
That's a great question. With Richard, there's no worry. It's not even something that I think about because he just accepts me wholeheartedly for who I am and what I need to be my best self so that we can build the kind of relationship we both want. So for that to happen, that's me not drinking. He actually, I don't know who it was. I've not met friends yet. I think we're just over 2 months dating, so it's new and we're taking it slow, but we're also like excited and it feels really aligned and right. But he had somebody say, because we went away quite early for a weekend at a cabin on August Long, and he had somebody say, oh, so, okay, so she doesn't drink. Did you guys even have fun? We had a
Wow.
blast. He was like, are you kidding? I've never laughed so hard. He had a few drinks and I'm drinking my 0% Coronas and we're dying laughing. And for him, it wasn't out of control. He also had a few zero alcohol drinks and all the other kinds of mocktails. And we had fun making them, but I don't worry about that at all. I think if somebody in his friend or family group questioned me in front of him and tried to make it a negative thing, he would step in immediately. He wouldn't let me feel a certain type of way. He would defend me and lift me up and turn it into a positive thing because he supports it. He supports me and he supports the lifestyle that I have and he shares it. The thing when you were just talking, Trace, too, is I scribbled down the word accountability. It triggered something when you had asked earlier about the not drinking and dating. And I wrote down the word accountability because I often would use alcohol to not have any accountability. Do you know what I mean? Like bad
No.
behavior, just unloading all my shit. And then I'd be like, oh, I was drunk.
yeah,
But also, I know now, if anybody has listened to our episodes, the one where I said with my ex-spouse, I remember having wine and having to open the notepad in my phone to
Mhm.
take notes about what he was telling me or how he was treating me, because I know the next day I might not remember exactly and then be gaslit till he was like, I never said that. And I'm like, no,
Right.
you did. But he would say, no, you were drunk. You don't remember. That's
Mhm.
never going to be an issue in this relationship. I'm going to
Right.
have full accountability. I'm fully present. So, yeah, Richard, he's great. He wouldn't let friends or family on his side sort of question it in a negative way.
I don't foresee that for you with him. Obviously, that's probably why he's the person in your life now.
Yeah.
I
But it
think I
could,
just
right?
meant in general,
general.
yeah. Have you guys had any of that experience? Or I think about some people I know, and I think that they would think about that. Like, how am I going to bring this person around my friends because they
Mm.
don't drink, right?
I dated
And-
somebody. I had this. I just remembered this. I dated somebody and we went to a cottage And he was a drinker, and so were his friends, and it was just another couple. So we were going to this other couple's cottage. And I didn't know that he did until after, but he talked to them ahead of time and said she doesn't drink and it's mostly wine. Because I have no problem being around any alcohol, other than I've had a few instances where I've really not enjoyed being around wine because that was my thing. But yeah, so he just tried to be really respectful. And I think he asked them to put their wine in different kind of cups or glasses or something, like not wine glasses. So I was a little bit embarrassed because I don't like that. I don't like being the center of attention. I don't like being like, oh, she can't have that. I don't eat gluten and I don't eat meat and I don't eat dairy. I hate that whole thing. So I was a bit embarrassed, but I was also like, wow, that's really thoughtful to do that. And they liked me, I think. Like they didn't think anything bad of me. But yeah, I was a bit like, oh, they're walking on eggshells because of me. But they had never even met me before.
Would you have preferred that they just drink their wine out of the wine glass?
I guess not. No, it was all good. And they weren't even like when some people say, oh, they're big drinkers. I'm like, no, you're not. I was. You're not.
You're like, sit down.
In comparison, no, you're not.
Yeah, but I forgot about that. Yeah, it was a different situation where he was doing his best. Like he was trying to do his best.
And it was thoughtful.
It was thoughtful. Right? That was like way, way early on in my dating and not a very good communicative relationship. So now I would be with somebody that would ask me what I need. There's going to be alcohol. Are you going to be okay? There would be a conversation about it, more communication.
That's key.
So
Communication.
Yeah. And we've had those situations too, because I'll buy beer for my oldest. He'll have a few beers if I have a Sunday dinner here or something like that. I've had to ask Dan, are you okay with alcohol in the house? Or if the kids come. Yeah, we've had those discussions. Communication.
That's good. I think, that's probably key. You're right, Kel. I had an interesting experience I have to tell you guys about that was funny. It has nothing to do with dating, but I went to Guns N' Roses concert a couple weeks ago.
How was that? I heard I heard they're a little rusty.
It was good, actually. It was good? It was great. I was actually pretty impressed with how good they sounded, considering they died off near the end of the concert for sure. But they played for, oh my gosh, over 2.5 hours.
Oh,
wow. They left before they even ended.
Wow.
No way.
I was, holy cow, these guys are still going. But so we're coming home on the train. The concert was in Toronto and we took the GO train, and we're coming home on the train, and it was myself and Randy and another couple. It was actually Randy's friend who gave us the tickets, which was awesome. So we're sitting on the train, and it's 4 seats on one side, 4 seats on the other side. And the train's packed. So we end up like Randy and I are on the 2 end seats on the one side, and his friend and his partner on the 2 ends on the other side. So we're not in a 4 cube together. But don't we sit beside, I swear to God, the fucking drunkest chick. I'm like, I sit beside her. And she immediately starts chatting up Randy. And I'm like, why is this happening to me? Of all the people that are gonna get stuck beside this chick, it had to be me. And I look over at Randy's friend Jason, and I'm like, Jason, don't you and Randy have to catch up? Why don't you come sit here? I'm trying to get him to come sit in my seat. But no, he wasn't having anything to do with it. Him and his girlfriend were laughing, and this girl was a whole different level of drunk. Like in my whole drinking career, I know I was never at this level. For one, when I was drunk, I wasn't likely to just strike up conversations with random strangers and friggin' talk their ear off, which is what this girl did the whole entire train ride.
You're like, read the room, but you can't when you're drunk.
No, that's the thing, right?
She was oblivious, and she was on the train with us the whole freaking ride. I was like, seriously, could they not be getting off 2 stops later? Nope. And her poor boyfriend must have contended with this many of times in their relationship, because he basically just completely tuned her out. For most of the ride, she was talking to herself, I actually offered her a snack because I just wanted her to shut up. I'm like, if she has food in her mouth, maybe she'll stop talking. And anyways, so it was very interesting. It was a very good reminder.
Yeah,
of
I
why
always
don't
like,
Oh.
drink.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I
it was
think that's
definitely
why we
one of
see those
moments
things. Yeah.
Of yes, this is just life telling me how fortunate I am that I've
Yeah,
made the decision not to drink.
Oh,
exactly.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, whenever I see really drunk people, which isn't very often anymore, but the first thing I always think of is, oh man, she's gonna be so hungover tomorrow.
Gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
no
miss
kidding.
that.
No.
I was already alcohol free when I went into the dating world there. But being in a relationship and a relationship where you communicate and it's healthy and all that, being able to be present in those situations is such a gift.
It is.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't imagine being numbed out. And I don't even think it's possible. I don't think it's possible to be numbed out and have a deep, meaningful relationship.
I don't think so either. In fact, I know so because I've experienced both ends of it, right?
Right.
I married somebody that I probably shouldn't have. And because of that, that's the accountability that I need to take. Letting a lot of things slide that just didn't even mix with my personality. Not necessarily he's a bad person, but just things that just didn't align with me, right?
Right.
Just stuff like that.
That's why I was saying that
Yeah.
I completely noticed the difference in my relationship with Brandy since I became sober for those exact reasons. Like I said, I was accepting things that I felt I shouldn't have been, but probably on the flip side for him too.
Oh,
We weren't,
100%.
I wasn't probably aligned with what he was imagining for
Mhm.
his life being a
For
drinker
sure.
either.
Yeah.
But like you said, you can't have that deep sort of connection when you're just numbing out. So that's why I noticed, and I can say from experience, our relationship went to a totally different level once I stopped drinking.
Mm.
And it really allowed us the ability to connect on a much deeper level and have a lot more candid conversations by being present. And again, work as a couple together on certain things and bettering ourselves, not just individually, but as a couple too.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
think too, if you feel like you need alcohol in the relationship, I remember coming home on a Friday and just, I got to get the red wine because I can't even have a conversation at this point with this person or like trying to be intimate with them. I'm like, where's the wine? Because I can't do this. I feel like that's a huge red flag that you're not with somebody that is compatible or that you are aligned with.
We
Like you
couldn't
have
even
to,
do anything together without alcohol when I was
right?
married. We did
I
everything. We spent a lot of
yeah.
time together, but
Yeah,
it involved
always
alcohol.
alcohol.
Always.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you're in a relationship where that's the case, not saying that, okay, you got to get a divorce, but try doing date night alcohol free and with
Mhm.
mocktails. And it might be weird at first. It might be awkward even if you're used to always
Drinking
involving
together.
alcohol and drinking together. But I say give it a try. It's a whole different level of connection and stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that total presence. Like I mentioned earlier, Carter and I were talking, and we were talking about the early days, like when I first quit drinking,
Mhm.
and how I noticed that. So my kids were young teenagers, and I didn't think that alcohol was really affecting my relationships with my family members. But I remember noticing they are coming and chatting with me way more. And anybody that has teenagers knows conversations always have to be on their terms. You can't force a conversation with a teenager, right? But like I would be reading or something, and they would just come and sit
Aw.
with me. And yeah, and it's that presence because I wasn't present before. And it's not that I was drunk all the time, but
Yeah.
I was numbed out. I was nursing
Yeah.
hangovers. I was in survival mode, trying to do
Mhm.
all the things at such a low level. And I said,
Your energy is different.
Yeah. So I described what that was like for me, like noticing them coming and talking to me. And he said, oh my God, yeah, mom. I said, did you notice anything? He said, yeah, mom, you're so different. Everything about you changed. And he said, you just became lively. I'm like,
Wow.
I
"Oh,
love
I
that.
love
That's
that word.
awesome.
That's what I always
Yeah.
want people to understand the other
Mhm.
side of it when you in that. I remember being in that and having that fear of not knowing who am I without alcohol. I became a million% better version of myself and brighter. And Carter said lively. Like I live life to the fullest. And I was definitely not, even though it looked like I was not.
No, you're just going through the motions. That's what I feel
Exactly.
like. Like I said,
Yep.
it's almost like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. Yep.
Same thing over and over again. Or like being in a rut, right? That's what it feels like continuously.
Totally.
And
think
it's
we
pulling
had a-
yourself out of that. But too, sorry, I just wanted to say, Linz, what you were saying, I think very challenging for any of our listeners out there that might be considering alcohol free. If they do have a partner that drinks, that is probably very scary to consider making that change. You did that, Kel, in your relationship, out of fear of how that would change your relationship.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good suggestion, like you said, Linz, to maybe try the alcohol-free dates or whatnot and test the waters.
How do I say it properly? Give alcohol free the same chance you give alcohol, right? You need to compare the two. If you've been drinking for years and you've been in a relationship where you both drink together, at the end of my marriage, it was always a night that ended in blackouts and fighting, and then the shame spiraled the next day. If this is what you're living, give the alcohol-free relationship the same chance. While you were talking, Kel, you said something there about you become a better version of yourself. And I remember last season we had a podcast, a guest on our show. I can't remember who it was. I think it was a female. And that person said, it's almost like you don't become a better version, you return to yourself. Like
Right.
that version that you always were and are, but the alcohol is like stifling it. And then I
Yeah.
just
For
wrote
30
down,
years.
what I thought was, while drinking and consuming alcohol, I thought I was able to be more myself
Right.
because all the walls came down and the
Mhm.
inhibitions were lowered. But it's actually the opposite. I turned into a complete fucking asshole. And that's not who I truly am. Like,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
altered me, my thoughts, my physical appearance, just the way I thought about life, how I showed up in my marriage and my relationships with friends and everything. Like, I was a complete asshole. So no, not drinking, it's like you return to yourself and then
Mhm.
you learn how to actually be yourself.
I did post a quote
Yeah.
that was, it's more about unbecoming
Coming.
who all the things you aren't.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
that
yes.
resonated with me because
And let's go back to that book that I always mention that I think we've all read now is Untamed.
Yes. I need
right.
to open it up again and
Oh,
reread
me
it.
too. I haven't read that for a long time. I want to
Hmm.
read it again. But yeah, anybody who's listening who's in
That
this
was
age.
definitely my experience because I told you
Ah.
guys that I really felt like I was trying to get back to a version of myself that existed before I drank. That is one thing that I've really struggled with. Forgiving myself for the person I was when I drank, because I
Oh,
did a lot of
Tracy.
things when I drank that didn't align with who I am. So
100%.
those things, those thoughts haunt me sometimes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I am in the
mhm.
same boat.
Okay,
I am in the
so
same
it's
boat.
not just
Yeah.
me.
Even hearing Carter say tonight how different I was. Yeah, that's hard to hear.
Yeah,
Like he didn't say anything negative about how I was, but hearing him say how much of a difference, he was like, oh yeah. So I'm like, shit. Yeah, I know I wasn't the best parent I could be because I wasn't present.
Yeah.
You got to be present.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm not the only
forgiveness. I have to
person that
forgive
struggles
myself
with
for
that.
all the, oh man, I think I've said this on the podcast before, forgetting the tooth fairy, forgetting the elf on the
I
shelf.
remember that.
Yeah,
Right.
that was
The year
thanks
the
to
elf had to
alcohol.
die. Yeah.
And then he passed away. That would have happened anyway. That's just
I
my
fucking hated
personality.
the
I'm
elf
like,
on the
what the hell
shelf,
is this
so
shit?
I
Yeah.
love
Okay.
that
So everybody's
story.
listening to in October. Anybody who
Yeah.
has young
Get
children,
ready.
you don't have to do that stupid elf. We have enough shit to do as mothers.
Yes.
Don't do
yeah,
it.
yeah. I can't
I'm
even tell you the amount of times I
anti-elf.
forgot about that. thing.
Oh.
My daughter I was definitely a huge disappointment in that department.
Yeah.
I was an epic mom fail on the Elf on the Shelf.
Yeah. But
duties.
now look at this gift that we've given our children is you can make different choices at any point in your life. You can better yourself. You can learn how to forgive yourself. And my God, my kids are so forgiving. I don't know what I did to deserve them. They're amazing.
So true. And I think that's an amazing example. One last question I wanted to ask you girls on the dating front was...
You're like Mike. Mike's not even here and it still keeps going back to the dating.
You know what? Because remember when I lost my train of thought earlier? I remember what I was wanting to... Okay. What I wanted to ask was, do you get questions about doing the podcast? Do you think people are worried about you doing the podcast and potentially talking about them or dating? And do you get questions about the podcast like, why are you doing it? What's the purpose of it? Or do people just fully support it? Do they listen to it?
Yeah, I've had people listen to it, and I think that's a huge compliment. Dan's listened to some of the episodes, which I love. He thinks it's great. Yeah. But yeah, I've never discussed with him about talking about our relationship on here though. So
right.
Maybe I should do that. I'm not a big sharer of that stuff. I don't even share. I shared one picture on social media. I was like, oh.
You're so funny. And it was a good picture. You guys are cute.
Thanks.
You guys are so cute.
I had that conversation with Randy.
Yeah.
And Randy listens to every episode. So
yeah.
But I did, before we even started the podcast, I asked him, how do you feel about the fact, not that I was going to speak about him, but that I'm sharing my life? Because if anybody, your friends, your family listens to
anybody
this,
can listen.
they're gonna know these things about me, and is that gonna make you somehow feel uncomfortable?
Yes, I asked my ex if he was okay with his name coming up because he's been part of my story.
What did he say?
And he was super supportive. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I think
what about
most
Richard?
People, so supportive.
Yeah.
Actually, he listens. Yeah. And it was funny because really early on, I don't remember how the podcasting thing came up. I think just in conversation, what are some things you do other than working and watching Netflix? And I was like, oh, I actually do this podcast. And people are like, what? You do a podcast? Yeah. I love listening to podcasts, and then doing this is so great. And then, oh, what's it called? And I say Laugh Life Podcast. Anywhere you get podcasts from, you can listen. And then I get a message like an hour later, I listened to your episode. I'm like, holy shit.
I've had that too.
Oh my God. What do you mean? And he's, wow, what a way to get to know me.
I know.
My worst moments.
And now you know everything about me and I know nothing about you.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't really know a lot about you, but I remember that time I fell and broke my collarbone. So hit faced on wine and blackout and tripped over my cat. Yeah. Like, oh my God. But I don't know. I think it's also a great way for people to get to know me. And if this person is going to be in my life and somebody that I build a partnership with, I want them to know everything about me, and I don't want to have any secrets, and I want to be open and honest. And I love that they listen, and he is so supportive. He thinks it's the coolest thing, and we need to make him a crop. Laugh Life crop.
Who doesn't want one of these? Come on. Anybody living alcohol free should want one of these.
Yeah.
Looks so good on a shirt.
Honestly, I love this crop hoodie.
Hashtag let's make sweaters.
I mean, it's come to reality.
Yeah, you manifested these sweaters, Lynn. Yeah. Way to go.
They came to life. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, it's so good getting back together, guys.
I know.
Talking.
Yeah. Gosh. This is my therapy. This is like my meeting. Yeah. We had to have a emergency meeting. Was it last week? You guys came on. Be so supportive. Thank you.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always here. We're always here for one another.
Yeah.
You guys have done that for me too.
Yeah.
I've had to have those emergency conversations as well. So it's great. let's wrap up with some like rapid
think
fire
so.
questions for you
Oh!
two, not to put you on the spot, but
I'm ready.
maybe throw out a couple of your key dating tips for our listeners that are dating
Ooh.
sober.
Okay.
Love it.
I would say look for green flags in yourself instead of looking for what's wrong with the other person. For example, how Lindsay said when she met Richard, she felt calm. And yeah, I think that's a huge green flag. So I think one of the best things you can look for is if you can be yourself with somebody.
I love that, Kelly. I was going to say something along those lines. The word that hit my mind, be honest. Just be yourself,
Mhm.
be honest, be open. And Kelly, I learned that from you, paying attention to how your body feels around somebody,
Right.
what's going on in this sort of area, chest, stomach.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
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 Just
And
be honest.
as far as if you don't drink or you're doing a sober October or whatever,
Mhm.
and you're nervous to tell anybody or like somebody that you want to date or whatever, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. And you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. So like Lindsay said, just be honest, put it out there.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
All right, girls, that was amazing. I think that those are some pretty good tips. Thanks so much. And thank you to our listeners. We're so excited to be back and reconnecting with you. Remember
listeners.
that we want to hear from you. If you have questions, if you have any suggestions, send them our way. We put a post up about submitting your questions and we'll do an episode and answer those questions. You can ask us anything, like Kelly just said. We'll be honest.
And that's a wrap on our first episode in season 3. We are so appreciative of our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. We drop new episodes every Tuesday, anywhere that you get your podcasts. So don't forget, subscribe, share this with a friend. You never know who you can help. And that's what this is all about, helping each other, supporting each other along the way. And you can't make a mistake on this journey. You just got to do it and know that we're here for you and we're cheering you on. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, keep laughing.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Please give us a 5-star rating, like and subscribe, share on social media, and tell your friends. We love getting your feedback and ideas of what you'd like to hear on upcoming episodes of the Laugh Life podcast. If you yourself are living alcohol-free and want to share your story here, please reach out.